Hello and welcome everyone to another one of my mindful conversations where I speak with these beautiful women all across the globe and really getting that message across to value who you are and self-love and to overall transition that mindset to become, perhaps you're in a place kind of low, to bring you to a higher level, a new frequency, a new positive vibe. So with me today, we are talking to a special guest uh, from the US is Birgitte. And Birgitte, she's a global speaker. She has a wonderful #1 best-selling author. She's certified in grief transformation, and of course, she is a life coach. And she really specializes from her own journey. As you often know, I talk about how we transition our whole way that we see life from our own experiences, perhaps our own trauma. And that is what Birgitte's going to talk about, all these wonderful, beautiful messages. She has a special community called Thrive, where she talks about going through those tough times and learning to live life with more ease, to have fun, because let's be honest, we need to have more fun in life, and learning from her own experiences she's going to talk about. So welcome, so happy you're here today, Birgitte, and you know, the audience hearing this powerful message that I learned from you as well when we had our pre-interview chat. So hello and welcome to Mindful Conversations and sharing our spiritual our spiritual messages that speak from the heart.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tanya. Thank you for having me here. And it's such an honor to be able to share this time with you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Now, I know I've done a little bit of a blurb about who you are, Brigitte, but can you please tell the audience, our listeners today, a little bit about yourself and what you do overall and what keeps you sharing that beautiful message?
Absolutely, yes. So I am, as you just mentioned, I'm a grief transformations speaker, author, and coach. And my background is actually in veterinarian oncologist. I'm also a veterinarian oncologist. And what kept me continue sharing that beautiful message, or what motivated me to share my message, is actually from my own experience. I went through life in 2011 and 2012, started with seemingly an out of the blue divorce to me, and that opened a Pandora box of 9 other tragic losses, cancer, and so on and so forth. By the end of that 2 years, I was in so much pain, I wish I could die. But I stay alive. And after a little moment, I said, well, if I have to stay alive, I'm going to thrive. Not just survive, I'm going to thrive and do that with ease and fun somehow. And started my own journey into grief recovery and personal development. Before that, I don't even know what life coaches is. And and I just, in a matter of a couple years, I turned my life in such a way. I went from heartbroken, sick all the time, miserable all the time, to living a wonderful life of peace of mind, ease, joy, better health than the first 40 years of my life, and more abundance than ever. And fast forward to 2019, last year, I was living a beautiful life. I started teaching these principles, as I know it can be very beneficial for people to be able to transform their tragedies to treasures. When actually suddenly, out of the blue, my right hand, my dominant hand, suddenly become completely paralyzed, and to the point I could not hold a pen like this, and all the specialists could not find out why. And therefore, within 2 weeks, I looked at becoming a handicap, losing all my income, and also at the same time, my mother became critically ill, and I lost my long-term companion, my long-term boyfriend, who has been my #1 cheerleaders. And even though all these things happening again, I realized that at the time, I did not go through any of the agony, anguish, and despair the way I did earlier. And that's when I realized that I have discovered not only the tools on being able for us to be able to transform our results, but also to be able to continue to thrive even as we are facing adversities, and doing that with a lot more ease. And so and I feel we all deserve peace of mind. We all deserve to thrive. And that's what motivates me to do this work even more.
Yeah. And you know that there's always key words when my guests talk about, and you know, you mentioned tragedy and my own, I'm going to say soul searching and applying what I teach to actually myself, right? And yeah, so many times, you know, we have body ailments and we wonder where's it coming from, and you seek, you know, whatever ways to clear it and it doesn't go away. But often people forget that that pain point is so often linked with what's going on in here, right?
Mhm.
And until you realize that and you help release and you listen to this voice, and what your heart is saying is like, okay, wait, I need to listen because my body, I'm not listening to what my mind and heart is saying. My body is showing it to me in another way. And you know, that's often, I'm going to use the word negatively, in pain points, or like you said, you couldn't all of a sudden use your right hand. It's like, okay, what is truly causing this, right? And I loved how when you listened to your voice, listened to your heart, and did some soul searching and started healing yourself from the inside. That is like, wow, I can use my hand now and I'm, you know, feeling different overall. So I really love how you share that personal message and that personal experience firsthand. Because yeah, I say it to so many people too, is like, you know, they're saying this and this, like, okay, well, how about we look at this right now? Because you know, this is the reason, right? And when you start bringing it about, they're like, wow, right? It's like, wow, this light goes off. And then they start looking at
Yeah.
other parts of their life. Maybe there's a childhood trauma. Maybe there's a trauma that happened like a year ago. I didn't realize. I brushed it off, but not realizing how it really has affected me. So yeah, I love how you brought that forth, because I know for sure there's somebody out there that's watching this right now that's going to be saying like, wow, maybe that's what my physical ailment is, right? So yeah, that's wonderful. And
Right.
I know as you were talking, Brigitte, you kind of answered this when you were explaining, you know, what you went through and what you continue to help other people with. But what allows you to thrive and live with the passion that you do in helping other people heal, and letting go of the fears and letting go of, it's okay to face that deep hurt to in order for you to heal fully.
What allows me to thrive and continue what I do?
Yeah, in helping people and helping them see that, you know, there's this deep-seated pain, and how do you thrive in helping people get over that? Like you talk about your Thrive community, right? So yeah, if you want to dive into a little bit how that passion comes through and helps you continue doing what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. What allows me to thrive is when I know that what I do is a win all.
Mm,
In other words, what I do is helping to them, but it's also fulfilling and a winning for me in one way or another. If perhaps even when I am, let's say, donating my time, then it's something that of course I love, and I love doing that. When I am coaching, when I am speaking, then it is something that I'm sharing a message that they want to hear, that people need and want to hear, and then at the same time it's also done in a wonderful way that I love. So it is, whenever something is a win all, and it's something that's good, that feel good for them, that is good for them, and it feels good and is good for me, and that's what continue for me. It's that's what thriving is all about, and being able to do that with a lot of ease and fun, because whatever good for me, if it's take too much effort, it's not good.
yeah,
So
yeah. It's kind of like the mirror, right? I find myself too as, you know, someone that coaches women, and yourself too, coach, you know, I'm saying it's almost like you're a mirror for them, right? It's allowing them to see things they didn't see before, and you mirroring back how they're feeling or how they felt before and how they're starting to move forward, and it kind of shines light on somebody. It's like, wow, yeah, right. And it's wonderful. It's just something that feels really good to be a part of, right? To see someone transition from where they were feeling before to now feeling here, and it's like, you're a life changer. It's like I just helped bring out what was inside, right? So yeah, it's wonderful. And let's be honest, we are in 9 months of COVID here, and so many people are going through and continue to go through motions, maybe not at the same level they did before, but what's something, Brigitte, that you have done during COVID, and you continue to do, that helps you get through day to day, week by week, month to month?
So actually, two things that I have done from the beginning of COVID. First of all, is to realize that this is what we are going through is a form of grief. A lot of people don't realize that. People think grief is only the 3D, death, divorce, diagnosis. While grief truly is, by definitions, is the unsettling emotion that comes up from a change in our familiar daily routine. So COVID is absolutely unfamiliar for most people.
Yeah.
And so we are grieving. And so when I realize that I am going through grief, I allow myself the self-care, the time to grieve, and knowing such as, quoting Viktor Frankl, that an abnormal behavior in an abnormal circumstance is normal. So I make sure that I'm not demanding to myself, have plenty of rest. So I up my self-care and allowing of myself to grieve and allow support. So that's one thing that I do, to allow myself. And then the second thing is to realize that in the Mandarin character, the word crisis in the Mandarin character is actually composed of two characters. The first character means danger. The second character of the word crisis in Mandarin means opportunity. So what is a crisis? It's a danger. Yes, we are not Pollyanna. We want to look at how things go, somehow things we cannot do anymore and so forth. And at the same time, inside of that or side by side with that is an opportunity. And so I start looking on what opportunity can be hidden in this that will allow me, again, in a way of a win all manner, to serve and to thrive even more.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's really good. It's a new way of looking at things, right? Yeah, instead of saying like this crisis and being like this, like, okay, well, I'll get over this, and there's windows of opportunity ahead, right? To keep on moving forward, to seeing that there are opportunities. And when you get beyond that roadblock of the now and becoming overwhelmed, it's like, okay, let me just breathe through it and take that baby step to get me moving forward. So yeah, that's it's deep. And do you find too, definitely, that's what helps you to stay overall positive? I mean, let's be honest, we all can have days where we're not feeling the greatest, but do you
Yeah.
believe too, and every day, that when you feel grateful, it allows you to not feel so overwhelmed?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Being able to allow yourself, again, we don't want to brush off things or being in denial. So allow ourselves our feeling and to feel grateful on what's still good. If we are still able to breathe without a support system, then there's something to be grateful about. If we still have a roof over our head, then it is something to be grateful about, to be grateful, and then to allow ourselves. There are days then, when I say, I'm just so done with all these things. understand. And at the same time, then saying, okay, well, I'm done with all this thing, and at the same time, I am grateful that this is still doing great, and this is actually knowing it deep in my heart that it's an opportunity, and right now I need to rest. I need to just close the window and go hide under the blanket for the next hour,
Yeah.
or perhaps even half a day.
Yeah.
And to know that also, I used to be one of those person because I did not understand. I used to say, okay, I will not cry because I'm strong. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I see that and I know that to cry is to be courageous. Actually, our tears to our heart is like waters to plant.
Mhm.
Our tears are the glue that mend our broken heart back together.
Mhm.
And so to cry, if you feel like crying,
Cry.
cry,
Yeah. Yeah.
cry. Yeah,
Yeah. I always say too, when it's this a release, right? It's just like release when you
yeah,
do, and it's fine. And people have a fear of showing their emotion. They have a fear of, they think they're being weak, right? Oh, but I need to be the strong for so and so. It's like, no, listen, what you need to stop denying your body what it needs, and that self-care and the movement of body. And when we deny ourselves, we don't become stronger, we actually become weaker.
yeah,
So yeah, give yourself, and yes, the self-care, is feeling and accepting your emotions.
yeah,
It's giving
yeah,
your body what it needs, which is movement, which is sleep. We lack as a whole society in sleep, and we lack as a society remembering to breathe and just slow down. Yeah, we need to do more of that. Move more of that, becomes you have clarity, right? People are often stuck, but when you do those things, it's
mm-hmm,
like this window opens of clarity,
yeah.
and you start to see things in a different light. Um, so there's three questions, Brigitte, that I always ask every guest. And, it's kind of, I'll say it's my favorite part, kind of a conversation, because we learn a little bit more about you as a person rather than an expert, right? So, Brigitte, we all have quotes. Sometimes we have many, sometimes there's one. But if there's one quote, that is one that you really stand by, and it's your favorite one, and maybe you tend to go to it more than once, what is that quote that you can share
Yeah,
today?
absolutely. A quote that I live by and helped me get through from the early journey, all even as everything happened, major thing, little thing in life, is from Napoleon Hills that
Mm,
says, every adversities, every heartbreaks, every failures carries in it the seed of an equal or greater benefit.
mhm. Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of great quotes by him. A lot of great ones. Nice. I like it because it
Because
has a
when
lot of different meaning, right? You were going to say?
because when you see it that way, then what seems as an adversities to you right now is actually a hidden gift. There's
Yeah.
no adversities really.
Yeah. And what about advice? What's the number one advice you can share with our listeners today?
Absolutely. I would say my advice would be, you are not what happened to you. You are what you decide, and
Mm,
take the steps to allow what you would love to become.
yeah, it's all about choices, right? People think when they talk to me, but I got sacrifice. It's like, no, it's about choices. You have the ability to give yourself permission to make a choice. It's not about sacrifice, because once you think everything's a sacrifice, let's get away from that journey. Let's move to this about choices, right? Choices, because then you feel more like, I don't want to use the word control, but you feel better about things, right? Things that happen or what's ahead. So yeah. And we talked about grateful a lot. And that's something I'm so adamant about sharing with listeners as well. And I always tell my guests, you cannot include family, because family is so important to us. So with this last question, you cannot include family, But Brigitte, if it was the last day of your life, what's something that you would be very grateful for?
Absolutely. What I would be very grateful that I have been able to serve,
Mm,
that
nice.
I have been able to bring some good to somebody else's life.
And when you say that, do you look at as in able to serve like everybody around you,
Yeah,
or
to be able to
specific?
but in my work, both when I being as a doctor as well as a speaker, author, coach, that those are serving. Everything that we do, if we do it with an intentions of serving, that is really serving. And so for me, it is to that I have that life has given me the honor and the privilege to bring good to somebody else's life in whatever way that it is.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, there's a reason why I got you to go more about that, because I knew there was more to it, but I want to, have our audience know that it's like, yeah, it's the honor to be here. It's the honor to allow other people to heal, right? So yeah,
Exactly.
wonderful. Well, Brigitte, I want to thank you very much for being on my Mindful Conversation podcast, sharing your knowledge, sharing your voice, sharing that powerful message of self-care, of not denying what we need, about listening to what is going on inside, and allowing yourself to heal, and allowing yourself to express any emotions that you're having. And there's nothing to be ashamed of, and there's nothing to be afraid, right? So those are powerful words. I feel that people cannot hear enough of. And not only as we go through COVID, and um, as possibly it's slowly winding down. I think regardless, it is, what you shared today, the messages that we both shared today, it's good for anything, and it's never ending. It's a part of your whole life journey while you're right now, on this earth. So thank you very much. Any last words of advice before we end our conversation today?
Yeah, definitely. I just want to everyone to know that you are beautiful and wonderful as you are. You are
Nice.
beautiful and wonderful as you are.
Lovely. So again, thank you to the listeners for watching another podcast. And of course, you know what I'm going to say: when you go to bed tonight, please make sure you think about one wonderful thing that happened, because no matter what, there's always a wonderful thing that happened. And when you wake up in the morning, think about or write down 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for. This is Tanya Otterstein-Liehs saying thank you again for listening to another one of my podcasts. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.